All right. So another day, another leak. And so today the question is if you haven't seen it already, there's been another leak, this time about emails and for the Freedom Convoy 2022. And this time, the leak is actually from an email account. And I want to talk a little bit about passwords and how we keep ourselves safe today. But before I begin, did you guys all watch the Donda live stream yesterday? I didn't catch all of it. I just caught some of the tweets because it was trending. And there was this one part that just kept getting repeated over and over and over. Did you see that part? I thought it was hilarious. Seriously, if you just look up the biggest like tweets in that area, come on, let's go. Yeah, there we go. Like literally the top tweet, like with 30,000 tweets is this. Let's see if I can bring it up for you. I don't know if this will work. We'll see. Yeah, there we go. Did you see that? He threw his mic. And throw. Okay, so that is the big meme, right? It was just like, oh, okay, he threw his mic, but they did not use throw. No, Kanye threw the mic and someone getting fired. And so everybody's like saying like, oh my goodness, like this is the biggest thing. But I saw somebody say he didn't throw the mic, he yeet the mic. And I was like, what the heck does yeet mean? And so, of course, being the geek dad who's obsessed about the future, I have to go and look up these Urban Dictionary terms on occasion. And of course, if you look up the word yeet on Urban Dictionary, because that is the place that you go to find this stuff, the most popular response for yeet is, and I'll just bring it up here. Ooh, you can see it. Is to discard an item at a high velocity. Alex finishes his soda and proceeds to yeet his empty can into a trash bin. Alex, while throwing the can. Yeet! All right. So really, it just means to throw away. And I thought that throwing things away is one of the ways that I would describe the way that we do passwords these days, simply because it's not safe. We live in a world where huge databases of existing passwords have been leaked on multiple occasions. And in many cases, it isn't a matter of if your password is going to be leaked. It's a matter of when it will be leaked. And if it isn't all leaked already, then when will it be? When is it going to be leaked? And this is a very important point, is that people don't consider this their security, but you have to think about it from the perspective of there are so many sites on the internet today, right? Like millions of sites. Would that be fair? Would that be a fair description? Probably, right? And so we need a way that we can accommodate or make sure that we have the right kinds of security in place so that we don't get our password leaked. And my main recommendation here is that, hold on a sec. Seems a bit small. Let me just see if this can fix it. Oh, this is what? No, I can't fix it. Okay. So one of the things that we can do in order to keep our passwords safe is just recognize that every site, so my message for anybody who's thinking about security, the first thing that I'm going to cover is something known as don't create passwords, right? So generate, don't create, if that makes sense. Generate, don't create. Slay. I love it. Love Queen, love Quiet Storm. Posted Slay in the chat, so thanks for that. So my first is generate, don't create. What does that mean? So stop creating passwords. All right, like human created passwords. There are like dictionaries of that, and people can just run those types of passwords. And we think that we're so unique when it comes to passwords. We are not. Like, they are not unique at all. People are very generic, and the studies that I've seen about password leaks show that there are certain types of passwords that are extremely common, and people keep using it over and over and over again. Don't generate a password. And what do I mean? Like, because come on, think about this. Like, how does one typically generate passwords? I'll show you an example. So I'm going to put this one up here. Whoop. I don't know if this will work. Okay. So let's say I'm typing out a password and I'm going, okay, my password I like is Bunny. But you know what? Bunny, they're not going to allow as a password because it's too short. So I'm going to go add some numbers. Bunny, 1, 2, 3. And then that's going to be my password. Oh, man. And now they require what? They require a number, like a period. Okay, fine. They kind of symbol. Okay, what else do you need? Oh, you need an at. Oh, man. Okay, so I'll put at Bunny 1, 2, 3. Maybe Bunny dot 1, 2, 3. And there you go. Look at my super secure password. And I think that those kinds of passwords are super easy to guess. And those are also, and what you'll do is you'll come up with a formula that works for most sites, because most sites require 8 characters, and they require to have a symbol inside, and they require to have a number inside. And so that's what you're going to do, is you're just going to pick like 8 characters, put a symbol and a number in there. But the problem is that you've created the same password for all of your different sites. So if people hack one site, right? Like, so maybe your Google didn't get hacked, but some other site, maybe your like a small market site got hacked and somebody got access to it. Well, now they have access to all of the sites that use like that have your same username or same email. And that's the risk, is that if you are creating a password, then you are more likely to reuse the password between different sites. And so that is not an approach that I would recommend. I'd recommend generate, don't create. And so what you can do is, I like to use a program called 1Password. I don't know what you guys use, but 1Password has worked great for me. Check out the official site. Boop, boop, boop. Now, there are many different sites that you can use, but I've used 1Password just because it's one of the many. But you know what? Even if you have an iPhone, it'll generate a random password for you, and then it can, if you want, it can store the password on the phone itself. And so this is an example of 1Password. Where can I show it? So where's the videos? Get started. Oh yeah, and there are different versions you can buy if you want to sync it up. No, that's not what I use. I just use the free version. I don't think you need to pay for this one. Anyways, you can see it just like stores a bunch of the passwords on the side, and then when it comes to taking a password, I just click the generate button and it will generate a random password. And my approach has been to always use a different password for every site, because if somebody leaks the password, no big deal, right? Like, they will only get access to the information on that site. And there's another approach, which is the Google single sign-on. Like, why don't I just, I mean, Google's pretty secure. Why don't I just leak that or just put that one on there? I don't recommend that as well, because you're putting a lot of dependence on you having access to your Google account. So if you create something that is potentially flagged by the AI as a violation of the Google's terms of service, then you will lose access to all of the accounts that are connected to your Google single sign-on. And so I always create something related to your email and the password, and it's a different password each time. That to me is one of the ways that you can keep yourself secure. It's not the only way, but I do recommend it because essentially what happened. Okay, let me back up to the pain here. Let me see if I can find it. I use Twitter a lot, so you'll have to excuse me. Oh, yeah. Yes. Okay, here it is. Mhm. Yep. Here. Um, how do I? Okay, maybe I'll just make this a little bit bigger and zoom in a little bit for you. You can see it. So, this is the situation that I was referring to earlier. If you didn't catch it already, I think this is an important one. So, Mike Thalen said a hacker has leaked emails from the Proton Mail inbox of Chris Gara, founder of the Adopt a Trucker fundraiser. The emails have been provided to DDoS secrets, show Gara transferring tens of thousands of dollars prior to the Canadian government's crackdown. And of course, this is the image, the trucker image that he's using here. Daily Dot, founder of the Adopt Trucker campaign, has emails leaked by hacker. And so what he used was a Proton Mail account. And how he got hacked was, or hacked and leaked, not much of an email person or a computer person, but I've been told that all my accounts and all the stuff has been hacked. And that's really important here, is that that's what people will often say, like, I'm not a computer person. I'm not a tech person. I'm not an email person. I'm like, what kind of person is an email person? Seriously, what kind of person is a computer person? You are a person and you are learning, to use computers. You are learning to use email in a secure way. But don't think of yourself as like you need to be an email person. You don't need to be a computer person in order to have security. You are a person who deserves privacy. You are a person whose opinions matter. And if you care about your privacy and if you care about, your own data, you will put efforts in to secure it. And the reason that you put those efforts in is because in our world of like data is the new oil, well, as a citizen, data is your vote, right? Your vote on that platform comes by giving that platform your data. And if you refuse to give that data, that company has got nothing, right? Like that's everything for them. That's the thing that they care about is your data. So don't be like Chris. Don't be like Chris. Don't say you're not much of an email person. You're not much of a computer person. You are a person and your data matters. And you need to get serious. You need to get real about passwords and the fact that they do get leaked. And this hack probably wasn't too hard. They probably, with Proton Mail, like I imagine they just tried it a bunch of times. Either that or I bet you one of his passwords was leaked in the past. It's probably available on some list somewhere, right? These lists of passwords exist all over the place. And they just look for his email. They find the password. They try the password. Oh, look, it worked. It leaked on a different site, and then they were able to get your password. And so, time to take it serious. Like this is no game. And we're starting to learn like what are the implications. Like the moment somebody has this password, it's just a matter of time, right? Like they're going to start leaking it. You're going to see content that's just out there. Yeah. And so what was the end result? Literally, it's like you get people's names, their emails, everything is there, literally. It tells like the amount that people donated. And so this is the thing is like a lot of the individuals, they when they contributed to this freedom convoy, they were like really they're doing it out of like anger, or they're doing it out of like an emotional thing. They're probably not thinking, oh, I need to keep secure. Oh, I need to actually secure thing, but or I need to think about, protecting my security. In theory, that is the job of the organizer. That is the job of the platforms like Give, Send, Go. But not everybody has the same level of attention to detail as you might expect. And as a result, this has serious consequences, particularly here in Canada, where now we're learning that the consequence of not having this emailed secure is that because of the Emergencies Act, the Emergency Measures Act, what will happen is that these people who contributed either through the email or through the leak of the Give, Send, Go, they're going to get their bank accounts frozen. They're going to get a lot of their lives. They won't be able to get insurance. Like a lot of their livelihood is just going to stop as a result of this. And so it's pretty serious stuff. And so I think people need to take it seriously as well. And I don't know if they are, but I think it's something we definitely need to consider. Okay, so I hope this makes sense so far. If you guys have questions, I am here live. Post your question. Like write something in the chat. Just say hi. I can see there's a few people already who are joining me. Thanks for joining me on Twitch. Thanks for joining me on the Amazon. I'm here. I've quite seen started following. Thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate it. I put a couple things up because I want to talk about other ways that you can secure your data, because I think that this is a topic that I'll talk about quite a bit. The recommendations that exist that I've seen, I don't agree with. So people say, oh, just have like a really secure password. Don't tell anyone. And like keep it memorized. I think we're beyond that. I think you need to be like, forget memorizing your passwords, right? If somebody hacks you, like you don't even know what your passwords are. I don't even know what half of my passwords are. Now, I don't know what any of my passwords are because they're all randomly generated and I cannot guess them. And that's awesome. I shouldn't have to know my passwords. And then that way they're all stored on something like 1Password. I copy, like if I copy the password, because of I put it like on the Mac clipboard, I can actually paste it onto like a desktop or a laptop or a tablet or something. I can use it in multiple different ways because the database is synchronized across the iCloud. And so, I mean, in theory, somebody could hack that database. But in order to get to it, they'd have to get through the iCloud database, which, I mean, it is possible to get through, but then they have to get through the encryption of that. So there's a lot of steps, right? Because there's another password that they have to get to. And so I see that as that's really helpful. Okay, so that's one way to do it. The other that I'm going to suggest, and this depends on the way that you use things, but have a, so the first is generate, don't create. And then the second is what I refer to is have a store, right? Storage, password storage. Um, Having a secure way to store your passwords is pretty essential these days because I see a lot of people. The easiest way to hack most people's passwords would be to get access to their like notes on their phone. Like people typically put it as plain text, and you don't want that. You want not just like any password storage, you want it to be encrypted password storage. And so, what the heck do I mean by encrypted password storage? So, encrypted passwords are passwords that when you get access to it, let's say somebody hacks the information on your phone and it has all your passwords, you want that information to be just a bunch of like random numbers. And the way that storage can be encrypted is through something like a SHA hash. A SHA hash, I think it's SHA 256, which I'm most familiar with, um, is a way of just randomizing passwords. And I'm going to show you a little video about how SHA works. Encryption. Yes. And it'll explain like it basically it's designed so that information can go one way and it cannot go back the other way. And I hope that that will help you get like a basic understanding of how SHA works. What's a good one? This one. Okay. Hold on a sec. Okay.
Entertainment and communication. The dependency on technology is at an all-time high thanks to the radical developments and innovation in these last 2 decades. A big portion of this belongs to ensuring secure channels of communication and data transmission. We have already covered videos on cryptography, encryption, and other algorithms such as the DSA, RSA, AES, etc. Today we will data beyond recognition. We can achieve this using hash. A few hashing algorithms have been broken down due to the increase in computational complexity of the new generation computers and processors, part of the digital signature algorithm. The goal of any hash function is to produce digests that appear to be random, to be considered cryptographically secure.
Okay, so in this image, you can see they put an input string, Jonathan. They run it through this hash function, and then what they get at the end of it is this just random bunch of numbers. So when you hack this database, this is what you see. You do not see the actual password. You see the hash of that password. And so I hope that makes sense. Sorry, I'm skipping through this really fast because I want to make sure. So the digest cannot is not able to produce the original message. So even if you get hacked, it's like, oh, okay, well, big deal. You just get a bunch of random numbers. And the people who are doing passwords, this is another key point, is that if you are storing passwords anywhere, especially in an online service, do not actually store the plain text password. Of course, you want to store only the hash, which is basically a bunch of random strings. And so you always run your password through the same hash. Those are the things that are stored. It's just the hashes. So if something does get leaked, oh, my site got hacked. Well, you didn't lose your password. You didn't lose your password because we secured everything using the SHA encryption. And so that is another way that people stay safe. And I don't want to go into the super technical side because as a end user of it, does it really matter like exactly how it works? No, not really. All you need to know is that we are going from the name, we're going from the password, and then we're going to a bunch of like random gibberish. And you want to make sure that what they see is said random gibberish. And that's what keeps us secure, is that you want an encrypted password storage. And so do not store this on your notes. Do not store this as plain text. If you can find a password manager, you are going to be much safer than somebody who is not using a password manager, right? So Yeet your created password, generate, do not create. So generate, do not, come on. Generate, don't create your password, and then make sure that your password storage is encrypted. All right, so does that make sense? Let me know in the chat. What is your question? Let me know if there's something that I can answer for you. And if you're wondering a little bit about this channel, this is AI Parenting. My name is Dr. Ed, just a geek dad who's obsessed about the future. I'll be honest with you, I don't understand like half of what Kanye did. I just saw the memes and the tweets about it, about him yeeting his microphone, and I thought that was kind of funny. And I thought, well, we should talk about yeeting passwords because of this recent leak, and I think people need to take it more seriously. And so if you found this helpful, just say like, hey, yes, like put something in the chat, put it in now, and let me know because I would love to see what you found interesting and how I can help you more. And I also have a site if you are interested in learning a little bit more called aiparenting.live. Go and reach out to me. I am planning on doing a little bit more of a live stream and a masterclass specifically about video presence. How do we become more present on video? And that's going to lead into a few more classes that I'm planning on doing about metaverse live streaming, which is like kind of what I'm doing here. You can see there's like a different background each time. Hopefully it relates to the theme, even though it's kind of loose today. I thought it was a relevant thing because of what happened yesterday. And so I hope that makes sense. Now, I want to talk about one last. So the reality is there is no such thing as perfect security. It is not possible. And it was from the Edward Snowden leaks that showed that even cell phone companies are tracking your position at all times when you're just using the cell phone network. And they're storing that information of where you were indefinitely. They're not getting rid of that information. That information stays there forever. And so my question is, how does someone like Edward Snowden, who is super secure, like if you wanted to go like Snowden level security, like what is that? What does he do in order to keep himself secure? And I liked this series from, and I'm gonna like
you might
fast forward it to where you get to that point. But I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna show you. I hope this is interesting to you. What Edward Snowden does in order to secure his phone. And some of it involves phone surgery. To give you a high level of what he's trying to do, he is removing all recording devices on his phone. So he disconnects and actually removes the camera, and he's going to disconnect and remove the microphone from his phone. So his camera is unable to see anything visually. His phone is blind. In addition, his phone is going to be deaf as well. Like it's not going to be able to hear, and it's not going to be able to see. And so how do you actually use a phone that you can't talk into? Well, he uses like a headset. He plugs in a external headset whenever he needs to. So whenever he's on a call, then he's going to plug it in and then have the headset. It's a really interesting approach. that I think doesn't hurt for us to be aware of, just for maximum level security. And this is like NSA level. And so let's go and take a look at that.
Independent. So it's true you can get into the phone and turn the camera off?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there a way you can tell if your phone's been hacked?
Perhaps the most terrifying thing is, if your phone had been hacked, you would never know.
This week,
Attaching the hack.
Oh, come on.
it seems like technology allows almost anyone to spy on almost anyone.
Even if you trust the government today, what happens when it changes? When eventually we get an individual who says, you know what? Let's flip that switch.
First of all,
that we believe would make hundreds of millions of customers vulnerable around the world.
If it is possible to make an impenetrable device, how do we solve or disrupt a terrorist plot?
but according to the most famous whistleblower in the world, the government already had this capability.
The FBI is working in court that Apple has the exclusive technical means of getting this one. Respectfully, that's horseshit.
And as it turned out, Snowden was proved right, because the FBI was able to crack the iPhone without Apple's help. Now, Edward Snowden remains a polarizing figure in American politics, because on one side, he's considered a hero on the level of Woodward and Bernstein, who broke the Watergate scandal, but on the other, he's considered a traitor who jeopardized American intelligence and security around the world.
A traitor to the United States.
These records were spread about publicly by Edward Snowden intentionally, recklessly, and I might say illegally.
So we went to Moscow to speak to this
marketing, promoting, and selling these tools in arms exhibitions in European capitals. They are not being used in the name of tackling terrorism. They are being used to keep these regimes in place and in power.
Now, to see exactly what type of information when you have a terrorist attack like that.
Okay, this is not helping. So sorry about that. The beginning part had what I wanted, which was him like opening up his phone. And I think that was the most interesting part. So I'm just going to go over that part one more time. Sorry. Here we go.
You might have bought the phone, but whoever hacked it, they're the one who owns it. Any device that's on here, you can operate independently.
So it's true you can get into the phone and turn the camera off?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there a way you can tell if your phone's been hacked?
Perhaps the most terrifying thing is, if your phone had been hacked, you would never know.
Okay, so that's the key message that I wanted to get across here, is that Snowden uses a approach that is very similar to what I described about passwords. He doesn't assume that his phone cannot be hacked. Like Edward Snowden, like the person who is most familiar with all of this technical stuff. And this is the same for every, like you talk to any IT manager in any company, and they will say the same thing. They never assume that they cannot be hacked. They always assume that they've already been hacked. And then they ask the question of, well, what do you get? What do you get when you've been hacked? Do you get sensitive information? Do you get plain text passwords? Do you get like access to my voice? Do you get access to my face? This is his approach. And I think that we need to use the same approach when it comes to our own security. Not that we need to be super technical, like crack open our phones and do that. Like, even that's a lot. Like, for me, I'm like, dude, like, you want to take like pictures of me? Like, by all means, hack me, right? Like, I have one of the I have the Oculus, I guess it's called the Meta Quest 2, and which requires a Facebook account because I'm all about like, tell me what information you have, hack me more because I want to learn about what this surveillance is like. And I'm not the most, I'll be honest, like I'm not the most secure person on earth, but I'm a little bit more secure than most because of my background in privacy, in technology, in artificial intelligence. I mean, these things that are like, we think of them as, oh, hacking is like really hard. Like, no, most of it's social engineering. Most of it is just like, oh, did you use the same password as a different site? Well, let's just see if it matches. And that is the way that this is being approached. And so I see it as let's find a way, right? Let's find a way to keep everyone more secure. If you have kids, get them to start building good password hygiene early so that they will be able to keep themselves more secure. Like people aren't going to break into their account. Like I've had my sister wasn't using a very secure password. And I remember when she was younger, somebody broke into it and started writing like emails as her, like really hurtful emails. And she wrote it to everyone, like to like family members and stuff. And like the kind of shame that she felt, the kind of humiliation that she had to go through, I don't want that on anyone. I think that that's the worst feeling that you can have. Identity theft is real. Identity theft is becoming more common these days. And I was just reading, and I didn't include it in the stream, but like in the AI 2041 book by Kai-Fu Lee, that book, which I'm just adding to the stream now, is another good one that has an example where it just talks about the next level of identity theft. And that's deepfakes. And you've seen them, right? Like you've seen, like, I don't know, the premier posts something and the next minute I see him singing a song, like, you know, just like as somebody who created a deepfake. These deepfakes today are kind of like pretty amateurish. You can kind of tell that somebody is just hacking it. But in the future, it's not going to be humans that are going to be able to tell if these are deepfakes. It's going to be like you're going to need an AI or you're going to need some other kind of computer in order to determine them. There may be signatures or stuff, but it's going to be that cat and mouse race. Steve Jobs was referring to this as well. He's like, oh, there's always this cat and mouse race between like securing the next iPhone and then somebody figures out a new hack. There's always going to be some type of hack, but they're always going to be closing those security holes. And so it's going to require more and more computing power. And these deepfakes are run on an artificial intelligence to try to make them look as real as possible. And so it's very easy or very possible to slander someone or to create like an account where it looks like that person is posting something, but they aren't really there. And so this is another step where I think that our identity, because it's easily copied and with deepfakes in the long run, is going to require us to think about ways of, first of all, securing our identity, right? So your identity, hopefully it's just you. Other people aren't gaining access to your accounts because you have that good password practice, that good password hygiene. But in the future, you may need more measures in order to secure your own identity. And some of the discussions or some of the thoughts that I've had have been around the use of something like a non-fungible token. And so non-fungible tokens are just like mostly used for art. Like, oh, somebody has like a Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT, and they use this to go, hey, look at me, I have like a lot of money. And, you know, I'm the only one who technically has this particular version of the Bored Ape Yacht Club. But it may be something that we need in order to also secure our own identity online, to say that, yes, there are many copies of me, but this one is the verified version. This is the correct version. This is the authenticated version. Similar to authenticated accounts on Twitter, like you want to know that, yeah, this is a person that I can trust. I know that this is coming from the right account. And so that's one way to do it. So that's important. That is an important way of doing it. And just recognizing that, like, security, it's becoming more and more of an issue. Information security and getting access to people's passwords is becoming very common. And it's much easier than people think. They think that, oh, like somebody had to like break into some some database. They had to hack some encryption. They had to invent new math, or they had to use a bunch of supercomputers. No. No, like the vast majority of security breaches, they just occur from social engineering. Like literally somebody calls you up and says, hey, I'm your IT guy. I just need your password. Right? Like how many of you, like when an IT guy comes up and says, hey, I just need your password, just go, okay, here it is. Right? Which might be fine, right? Like why do people hesitate to give the password to the actual IT person? Like how would they verify that this is actually an IT person? What is the phone verification? Okay, what's the verification code that you are actually an IT person? Right? There isn't one right now. And I think that that's one of the reasons why social engineering works so well, is that like somebody can pretend to be like, I forgot to mention deepfakes. Maybe you think of them as a visual deepfake, like you're trying to replicate the face. But deepfakes also apply to voices as well. And so it's important to see that the deepfake voices are what's actively being used right now. And there have been cases where audio deepfakes have been used to simulate or emulate the voice of the CEO who's in a hurry. He needs something done right away. I need you to go and secure this thing for me, blah, blah, blah. Or just give me the password. Like I need to get this done right away. And from that, somebody is able to hack in. I want to see if I can find this. Deepfake voice to hack company. There you go. A voice deepfake was used to scam a CEO out of $243,000. Like, boom. Right? So a voice deepfake was used to scam a CEO out of $243,000. Right? First notice instance of artificial intelligence generated voice used in a scam. Like phone scams have been happening for a long time, but now you can use it to like generate a voice. So the chief executive of the firm's German parent company, this is a UK-based energy firm, thought he was on a phone call with his boss. When it turns out the orders were actually to transfer immediately 220,000 euros, or approximately 243,000 US dollar, to the bank account of a Hungarian supplier. In fact, this voice belonged to a fraudster using an AI voice technology to spoof the German chief executive, Rüdiger Kirsch of Euler Hermes Group, the firm's insurance company. Shared the information with the Wall Street Journal, and he explained that the CEO recognized the subtle German accent in the boss's voice, and moreover, that it carries the man's melody, right? So that's how bad we are, right? We're like, oh, okay, he had a German accent, which is the same accent that our CEO had, and his tone matches. And so all you needed to do is just match the tone. Like I think that there's a little bit more going on here because there's probably like an AI that's actually emulating his voice to a different degree. But that's been studied. Like that's something that can be faked. So I do think, like, keep in mind these things are coming. And if you want to secure your identity, we need to ask for a little bit more. Like, a question might be, can you tell me something about the company? Like, answer this question that only somebody in the company would know. Can you, like, if you're the CEO, can I ask you, do you mind if I ask you a question? What was the thing that you told us last week in email to all employees? If you can tell me what that is, then I will know for sure that you are the CEO before I make a €250,000 transfer to a Hungarian bank where you're never going to see your money again. And so the reason I'm mentioning this to you is the lower the fidelity of the channel, the easier it is for a scam to occur. So the lower the fidelity, so the lower the fidelity of the channel that is being used, the easier it is for somebody to fake, because the threshold is just that much lower. If it's face-to-face conversation, you want to fake that, that's hard. You want to fake a video, that's hard. You want to fake a voice, that's easier, right? You want to fake a text message, there's nothing stopping you, right? Like, a lot of people could have a text message, they have no clue that they're speaking to a bot, right? Reagan says, ha ha ha. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So that's key. And so I'm speaking to you about this not from like a place of like, oh, I'm so much better. No, like, these are all lessons that I had to learn the hard way. I remember a time where I wanted to, like, those who know me know that I am a bit of a camera geek. I've purchased like digital cameras in the past. And I remember one time in university where I was like in email conversation with this person on eBay who was selling a camera. I was like, okay, he's just reselling it. It seemed legit. Everything was there. And so I like issued the payment. I think they needed I think it was like a certified check or something like that. Like, and he wouldn't accept it without the certified check. And what that means is that if you send a certified check, then the money is taken out of your account in advance. It's like guaranteed money, right? Reagan says some people should know better, but unfortunately, they also prey on our elderly. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. I'm part of a few groups where there are a lot more people who are elderly, and the kinds of scams that they kind of perpetuate. They go, "Oh, you should like not eat this kind of food because it's gonna poison you." And you go to Snopes and you're like, "Oh, sorry, that's totally fake." It's very common because, like, when you went to school, like, who taught you about checking for fake news? And you kind of believe. You're so used to being told what to believe. You're told what to believe in school. You're told what to believe, like, from your friends, from your boss. You're not used to thinking for yourself. You're not used to developing that critical thinking skill that you need. This is one of the reasons why we have the challenges that we have today. And so, yes, I see this as it's a big risk. And often our most vulnerable in our society are going to be the least prepared, right? Like if you have the money and the finances, like, oh, then you should have access to security. I don't believe that. I believe that everyone should have access to it. And there should be some basics that you know. You may not know everything about tech, but you know that your password can get leaked to other people. You may not know everything about like AI and how like deep fakes work, but you should at least know that that person who's on the phone might be trying to get something from you. That person who's sending you an email might be trying to get something from you. And it's unfortunate that we live in this area it's this kind of era where we can't really trust the things that we see online, but it is the world that we live in, like it or not. And so hopefully we can work towards getting more of that security practice, that good password hygiene, that security online as part of what we do. And I don't advocate for, stay away from technology, or don't say that you're not a computer person. This is going to make you more vulnerable. Your data is online, whether you like it or not. Like, we are learning about shadow profiles on Facebook. You think Facebook doesn't have an account for you just because you don't have a Facebook account? Right? Like they're creating these profiles about people that don't even have an account signed up. So data is everywhere. And more there's an effort to understand everybody, to track everybody, to collect data on people. And so it's time as a digital citizen to take our privacy seriously and take our information security seriously. And that is my goal for you, is that we want you to be as secure as you can be in this time. And so if you haven't already, say hi, give us a like, make sure you follow. I'm always posting about tech stuff. As I mentioned, I specifically run a site called AI Parenting. And my name is Dr. Ed. My background is in computer science. My PhD is in computer science. I also focus a lot on creativity as well, because I feel that that's essentially what we need in order to succeed in the way that the world of freelancing is going. You will never be able, like if you are generic, you are going to be ignored by all the algorithms. You need to stand out a little bit. You need to be able to differentiate yourself from the rest of the competition that exists online. And so that is why I want people to know a little bit about technology. I want them to know that data is their new vote. Data is the new vote. It is not the new oil. It's the new oil for companies. But for citizens, for people like yourself, it is the new vote. This is how you vote online. You don't get to choose who the CEO of Facebook is. But if you all drop, like if there's major cancel culture and it gets rid of a lot of customers for Facebook, then they're going to see their market value drop. And they may see a forced change of their CEO. And AI and programming is the new law. Don't see it as, I just need to learn how to code because, I might be able to get a job. No, like it's just understanding some basics of how AI works. The principles that I would encourage is, everybody talks about AI as this thing of the future, AI 2041, what's going to happen there? And people don't realize that AI is not really about the future. It's the way that we're using it right now, which is like these deep learning models, is all about replicating the past. And not just any version of the past, the most profitable version of the past. So your AI is selecting your feeds for what caused the most engagement, what kept people on the platform for the longest. And guess what? That's mostly the most angry, the most hurtful stuff, the most like ridiculous content. Why does Facebook not want to remove that content when they clearly have the capability of doing it? It makes a lot of money. It brings a lot of attention, right? It's highly profitable. They would lose a lot of money to do it. So they're not going to do it. And so increasingly, I consider like AI parenting as not like, oh, like you, as think of it as a parent. I have 2 young kids. What would I feel comfortable? What AI would I feel comfortable exposing my children to? What is an AI that's safe for children, that actually has their best interests at heart? Sure, we've got the MPAA for motion pictures, for rating motion pictures. We also have ratings for games. But what is the rating for the AI? Like every game says, oh, online interactions are not rated by the ESRB. And it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous because all of our interactions are online, right? Like who's rating the safety of Instagram? Who's rating the safety of Facebook or let's see, is it TikTok? You know, what are our kids spending their time on? Minecraft, Roblox? Who's rating those? The online interactions. We need somebody to look out for our kids. We need somebody to look out for our own safety as families. And that's the way I see AI parenting. So if you haven't already, sign up for AIparenting.live. Go and visit the site now, actually. I think that you can find a lot of useful information from the site. https AIparenting.live. And sign up to be an insider. Sign up to be an insider, which joins our email list, because I want to send you information about our upcoming masterclass on camera presence, because it's been 2 years of Zoom and nobody's learning anything. Everybody's videos all look the same. They're like poorly lit. It's hard to hear people. We're not fixing these problems, and I don't understand why. And I feel like we got to do something about it. And so I want to give you a free masterclass that you can access, but you're going to need to sign up today. Because I think I'm going to start closing off the registration for this session. And then the next session I'm going to do probably next month. So it's going to be a big delay if you're not signed up. And so sign up today, AIparenting.live. I thank you for joining us for this time, learning a little bit about yeeting your existing passwords, not creating passwords anymore, generating passwords, keeping yourself secure, and making sure that we can make the best of our time online. My goal is that we stop seeing screen time as just screen time, but we ask, are we using screens to sedate? Are we using them to relate? Or are we using them to create? That's what's really important. Spend your time creating, spend your time keeping yourself safe, and you're going to be good for a long time. This is an important life skill everybody's going to need. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.